Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365, 5 out of 6 against the Sox, not too bad. Now, here comes the critical series with the Brewers. We get ready, plus the Cubs chug from the Richard M. Daley Chalice. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, driven by Toyota, I should say. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign-up. 5-4, a nail-biter down to the end on the south side. The Cubs avoid losing 2 out of 3. Instead, they take 2 out of 3 and 5 out of 6 in the City Series this year against their south side brothers. And now here come the Brewers. Luke Stuckmeyer, Kevin Wells with you. Sarah running the 1s and 2s. Thanks to everybody that joined us for the live watch-along during the game. That was fun.
Great to see everybody in there. Yeah,
it was a good time. And we'll talk about pretty much everything you want to talk about, right? We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about Shaw. We're going to talk about Nico. We're going to talk about Ben Brown. We're going to talk about acquiring pitching. We're going to talk about Geno Suarez. And, yeah, we're going to talk about the Brewers' comeback and what this series means coming up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But first, is it fair to say, Kevin Wells, that this is now officially the Nico Hoerner game?
This was the Nico Hoerner game, no doubt about it. I think that kudos to the White Sox guys for putting up with us and talking a lot about, you know, how good the Cubs have been this year. But one of the unsung heroes has been Nico Hoerner. Yep. And I thought Sean and Joey both mentioned it multiple times, like, hey, this guy is he's pretty awesome at what he does. And defensively, Nico kind of showed off the baseball smarts today, continues to hit with guys on, continues to just be a stable force at the bottom of the lineup, continues to play Gold Glove level second base. And it was his game. I mean, on the base paths, you know, made a nice run towards home, forced the issue, ended up scoring a couple runs in the game. I mean, he really just kind of impacted all facets from where he was at in the lineup today. And I think that's important, right? Because the Cubs won a game without hitting a home run, which is something that's pretty rare for them. And they also, they struck early and often. And when they do that, they usually win. They're 44-8 when they score first now. So I thought Nico's just overall presence in this game, it seemed like every inning he was doing something, and it seemed like yesterday with the double plays. I noticed in the first inning when Cade Horton got into trouble, and Nico makes a strong throw after Dansby fed him nice to get out of the first inning with no runs. I mean, I felt like defensively the Cubs played a great series. There was a snafu in left field, but I thought Nico and Dansby owned the middle.
Yeah.
And I thought this is definitely the Nico Hoerner game, and the dude doesn't get enough credit for being one of the unsung heroes of the 2025 season, no doubt about it.
Get to that play that he made in the field that was so heads up as well in a second, but something Sean Anderson said during the live watch-along that I think is so true is once Benintendi hit that home run near the end of the game off Brazier, who had been really good recently, but once he hits that and it's a one-run game and the Sox at the end have the winning / potential walk-off run at the plate, you're sitting there and you are staring at the possibility of losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals, 2 out of 3 to the White Sox, and being down a game to the Brewers when you enter that series on Monday. Instead, Palencia shuts the door, does what he does. You close out the Sox 2 out of 3. You salvage, 3-3 against the Royals and Sox, and you're even with the Brewers going into Monday night. Much better. Nico's play, up until the Benintendi thing, it was the difference in the game.
Saved the game.
It helped save the game, right? Then the Happ play becomes just as big, but up to that moment, that play where he tricks Sosa into going to third, the heads-up play, I mean, That's the type of stuff that doesn't show up in a box score. Those are the types of plays that make you want to watch a whole baseball game. For people that say 3 hours, I can't do it. Sometimes I do. 2.5 hours, I can't do it. It's too much time. But then you see that play and you say, yeah, I can't just watch a box score and know exactly what happened in a game, because that play was everything.
It was so aesthetically pleasing to watch. Nico Bates, who I can't remember. Sosa was running the third.
It's a double play.
So Nico does an excellent job here. The ball's hit a mile high in the air. He walks right over to it, puts his glove up. Bates, Sosa, because it's an infield fly, so the batter is automatically out. So it was a bad base running play on Sosa's part. He should have been closer to the bag at second base, but Nico baited him, went over there, made it look like he was going to make the play, lets it drop, which he almost caught Sosa. It was interesting because Sosa got down the line, and when he saw the ball drop, he goes, "Oh my God, he dropped the ball." He played mind games with him, and he was out by a mile at third. And I think that, yes, number one, horrendous base running mistake. Very bad base running. But number two, the situational awareness, right? And knowing that maybe you have that advantage over a guy who doesn't run the base as well. A team that is not great on the margins this year. A team that doesn't play great defense, doesn't run the base as well, doesn't walk a lot. Maybe knowing that all together and wanting to try something like that. It's just a very smart baseball play. And even if you didn't get him, it still made sense to let that ball fall and give yourself a chance to get the lead runner. And I thought that there's just not many guys in baseball that do that. There's not many guys who are willing to take the gamble on that. There's not many guys who are going to say, "Oh, I'm going to let the ball drop," and because anything can happen, right? What if it hits a rut and bounces away, or what if it hits the bag and bounces away? It opens up a realm of possibilities. But it's still a risk worth taking, and I'm really glad Nico took it.
Yeah, then it comes down to another play that involves Nico, and it's the base running, the final run that ends up being the game-winning run when Happ scores on the call that's fielder's interference over at third base. And somebody in the chat just said it. I can't see who it is, but I agree. It's vanilla chill. Never understood why more base runners don't do what Happ did. Don't avoid the tag. They'll call you out. Go ahead and run into him. And he ran over the third baseman, and because he had no other alternative, and they award him home plate. I'm wondering if that – listen, I don't know that he really had a decision. I guess he could have tried to scoot around him a la Javi Baez. But remember, there was a play earlier this year where Happ did try to slide to first base, should have been safe at first base, and they're like, "Oh, you're out of the base path," trying to avoid the tag at first. So he got kind of screwed by that call, trying to avoid the tag earlier, and this time he just ran over the infielder.
And the Cubs have been...
And he got the call.
Council's been upset, about... Council's been pretty upset in general about some of these base path interference calls because they are judgment calls by the umpire. They are. So how do you break the cycle of having some of those calls go against you? Because not all of them have gone against you this year, but there's been a few. The Happ one, and there's probably a couple other ones. I know Dansby or Nico was just called for base path interference a couple days ago.
PCA had one where he slid into third and the base was stopped, and he ended up with a bruised knee.
So that's where, coaching – exactly, that was just last week. So that's where the coaching comes into play. Hey, if they're going to play you up close and personal and block the base, because this was also just Happ kind of taking advantage of a rookie and Colson who hasn't played a lot of third base. He just got to the big leagues and he's played more shortstop in the minors and they're trying him out at third. This is just Happ taking advantage of a guy who doesn't know the position well yet. He did not give him enough space and he's standing right on the chalk line. Now, if Colson is standing closer to the bag and he's maybe a couple inches over, kind of towards, in
might
between
get away with it.
He probably gets away with it, but because Happ saw where he was and saw that he was right, all he had to do was turn and run him over.
Yeah.
And he knew he was going to get that call. And I think that's where coaching comes into play, right? I'm sure that the Cubs have talked about that ad nauseum over being victim to these calls over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure that was something that they said, hey, you know what? Instead of trying to avoid the tag and giving the umpire more discretion to choose what the baseline is and what isn't, just run into him.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great baseball from Happ today. And that you're right, that was the game-winning run. So
And what did
Shout
you
out.
tweet? We were saying on the show.
Throw this up.
Reminded me of AJ and Michael Barrett. We didn't get the fight, but it was similar. Cubs Sox collision on the south side.
Nice little collision, nice little physicality in there. Obviously, yeah.
I can't wait for Bears season.
You can't wait for Bears
season?
I'm
ready for Bears season. I could do without Carm's pool videos that he's posting for us every day, but like
nice little physicality on the base path. I mean, this was fun. I know that a lot of fans probably riled up the crowd. We saw a lot of people on their feet after that, and nice little physical baseball. Obviously, nothing was going to come of that because Happ didn't hit him too hard. He was right in the way it was. He didn't go out of his way to hit him, and just picked up his helmet, didn't say anything to him, walked home, touched the bag, and went into the dugout, and that was the end of it. We saw, Venable came out to talk about it, but there was really not much of an argument there. They knew they were at fault. They knew that was base path interference, and that was the end of it. And good for Ian Happ. That's ended up being the difference in the ball game.
Derek in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like it, and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger. Appreciate everybody that stopped by in the chat today and the watch-along. But, it was a great game by Nico, but we have to acknowledge what Matt Shaw is doing. Matt Shaw now has a 9-game hitting streak. Chris Kampka, the great stat man, posted last night, which I thought was great. Since the All-Star break, Matt Shaw had 4 homers and 1 swing and miss. He had 1 more swing and miss, I believe, today. So he's got 4 homers, but what do you have, 2 hits again today?
Yeah, double and a single. Yep.
The
double was a rope down the line, too. He hit that really hard.
He's made some adjustments. Brendan's talked about those adjustments on the Cubs-related podcast. And it's fun to see. He's adjusted multiple times now through the season, right?
A lot, yeah.
He's made at least 2 big adjustments at the plate, starting with removing the leg kick. Now he's more vertical than he was, and yada, yada, yada. He's approached some different things. He's pulling the ball more. He had the home run in yesterday's game, which, by the way, was a big home run. Where is your confidence level in Matt Shaw at third base, as your everyday third baseman?
Right now, out of 10, probably about a 6 out of 10. I love the way he plays the game defensively. He is so athletic. He's so quick on his feet. He's got a really strong arm, an accurate arm. He's got 7 defensive runs saved at third base this year. That's one of the best in baseball. That's more than Nolan Arenado. So defensively, very high that he will be able to be the future at third base for the Cubs. I'm feeling very good about that. Offensively, I love the adjustments he's made, but I'm not letting
I know where you're
this
going.
9-game hitting streak kind of sway me back into the opinion of they don't need to upgrade at third base. I'm still a firm believer that you make a strength the strength and you upgrade where you can. And I think getting Gino Suarez would allow you to do so much more as a ball club. It's going to give Counsell more buttons to press. It gets you deeper as a team because then Shaw can still play a couple times a week. He can still be your late-inning defensive replacement. He can still be a pinch runner. And on days that you want to maybe sit Ian Happ and play Seiya in left field, Suarez can DH. I just think that upgrading the lineup, no matter how good Shaw has been, and he's been awesome. I mean, he's in his 9-game hitting streak, 12 for 26, 4 homers and 2 doubles. He's got 4 homers in a week. That's, he only had 2 in the entire first half. So clearly the adjustments he's making are working. And clearly the work he's putting in behind the scenes is paying off. And clearly the Cubs have faith in him to keep throwing him out there. And right now, he's still the best option. But you still upgrade that position if you can. You still, if Suarez becomes available, you make that move. I don't want Ke'Bryan Hayes. I've been very clear about that. I don't think that upgrades the position at all. I said it was a downgrade a couple weeks ago. I took a little flack on Twitter for that because Hayes plays good defense, but you can miss me with that bat. I don't want it. I had more faith in Shaw's bat than Hayes' bat. Now for sure, I have more faith in Shaw at the plate than Ke'Bryan Hayes. But Suarez becomes available, and you can get him, you get him, period.
I want to continue this conversation a little bit later in the podcast. Let us know what you think in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Is Suarez the answer at third? Should the Cubs go all in, or do you ride it out with Matt Shaw, who's on a 9-game hitting streak? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, a word from our sponsors. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup definitely has something you want to look at. There's the RAV4, versatile, reliable, ready for a little adventure. The Grand Highlander, plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families. Looking for efficiency, the Corolla's got you covered. It's smart, it's stylish, it's easy on gas. Need something tougher? The Tacoma brings serious durability. And finally, the Camry, sleek and packed with performance. Summer starts here. Visit your local dealer and find yours today. You can check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. What a time right now to sign up and be a CHGO diehard. Upgrade your fandom today. Access to all of our exclusive written content. Jared Willis will be in Milwaukee for us. And, of course, it goes without say what we have going on for Bears, right? You got Adam Johns, you got Adam Hoke, you got the whole crew writing all the best stuff on the Bears. Great time to follow the Cubs' push to the playoffs and more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of diehards already in our community.
Nobody likes being hot, sweaty, and sticky. Guess who doesn't have air conditioning in their ballpark? That would be the Milwaukee Brewers. Hope they have the roof open for you if you're going, because it is hot in there when that thing is closed. Summer is here. Is your home's air conditioning up for the challenge? 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been saving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Now's the time to get your AC checked out, and 4 Seasons experts are ready to help you with installation, maintenance, and repair. 2024 was Chicago's hottest year on record. When it's hot and humid, you know you want to be cool and comfortable inside. 4 Seasons expert technicians ensure that you always get reliable service, and 4 Seasons doesn't charge you more for night service, weekend service, nor holiday service. That's a huge thing. Schedule your 4 Seasons AC tune-up today. Save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no-breakdown guarantee. Save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with 4 Seasons. New AC units, $39 a month. AC furnace combos, $57 a month. Your trusted local experts at 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit 4seasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com.
Cubs win 5-4 on the south side, and they take 5 out of 6, and they now celebrate by chugging from the Richard M. Daley chalice.
Speaking of, are you going to do that? Is there any beer in there for you?
I am not, but I sometimes bake a cake in something like that, and it turns into a bunt cake if you flip it over.
I have
Might
had a
be our
beer.
new thing.
I did drink a beer out of that cup
You did
at one
once,
point.
huh?
Yeah, when the 2022 Cup Media League champion
The
WGN
softball
Radio,
champs.
I drank a
The
beer out
last
of
champion in Chicago.
that. Yeah.
Last great champion
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah, people don't talk about it enough, honestly.
We were talking before the break about Shaw. I see a lot of people in the chat chiming in. Vanilla Chill says you can't count on Shaw continuing this. And if he does, what a great bench bat you would have. Anthony
Amen.
says Shaw is fine. I don't want to overpay for a rental. That's going to be the big question with the whole Shaw, Gino Suarez thing. I do have a question about Gino Suarez. Does Ryan McMahon being traded from the Rockies to the Yankees, because we had always heard it sounds like 3 teams should be really interested in Suarez: Cubs, Brewers, Yankees. If it is truly down to the Cubs and Brewers, and the Yankees obviously are out of the mix, does it raise the price of Suarez because you now have the 2 division teams hot and heavy after it? Or, and you've taken the Yankees out of the mix, what does it do to the price, and does it make it more likely he ends up on the Cubs?
I think, just statistically, yes, because the Yankees are, they were in it. They needed a third baseman. They got McMahon, who's got more club control and has a better glove than Suarez, but there's a huge drop-off offensively. But that's not what the Yankees need. The Yankees have been really struggling defensively in running the bases. McMahon makes much more sense for them. Now, I don't know what the price is for Suarez. It's really hard to gauge these types of things, but everything that we've read from John Heyman and Jeff Passan, Suarez is the best bat available, for sure available. He's going to get traded. There's almost a 100% guarantee he's moved in the next 3 days. But I don't know what the price is. I know the Mariners have said they're interested, and I believe John Heyman said this morning about a half dozen teams are still, quote, interested. Could that be the Mets? Could that be the Phillies? The Phillies tried to move on from Alec Boehm in the offseason, and could they upgrade their lineup? They already have a bunch of slugging lefties. Could they put Suarez in there? I don't know. That would be terrifying because the Phillies already have the Cubs' number. But I think the Cubs are in a good spot. I do. I think they're in a good spot to get Suarez. I think they can make it happen, and I think it's an obvious upgrade for them. I think that and I brought this up because after Ken Rosenthal tweeted that, hey, the Diamondbacks are going to sell. They just got swept by the Pirates. They're going to listen to guys. Well, the thing about Eugenio Suarez and the thing about Zach Gallen that we have to remember, yes, they're on expiring deals, but they're both eligible for a qualifying offer. What does that mean? Team, if they play with the Diamondbacks all year, and they've never been given a qualifying offer in their career before, they can get one. It's about $22 million next year. If they turn it down, the Diamondbacks get comp picks, which would be pretty high comp picks, probably in the top 75, definitely in the top 100. So the Cubs trade package has to outweigh the comp picks that the Diamondbacks would get or the level of prospect that they would acquire in that trade. So that's where the negotiating piece comes into play, because you're not going to trade Owen Casey for Suarez straight up.
No, at least I wouldn't.
But you could trade Suarez for Merrill Kelly, and you could trade Casey for Suarez and Merrill Kelly, because then you're getting a 2-for-1. And the Cubs they have 5 top 100 guys, but their highest one is in the 30s, so that complicates things too. They don't have just like a high-end guy that they can get rid of. You know how that works.
Is Kelly on an expiring deal too, or does he have time left?
He's on an expiring deal as well.
Interesting.
So he would be the only one that would come cheaper because he's a little bit older, and probably, I don't know if the Diamondbacks would give him a qualifying offer. I don't know if they would extend him one because of his age.
Right.
So they're probably more so looking to move Kelly than Gallen, is basically how this article summed it up. And if it makes sense, it's all about the package the Cubs can put in. If they can get both those guys for a top 100 guy and maybe a top 30 guy in the system like Birdsell, I think that probably gets it done for Suarez and Kelly, or Suarez and Gallen. But who knows? I really don't know what they're going to do. I know they're interested, and I hope they get him, because I think Suarez at third in this lineup would just be dynamite.
Well, you're talking about a guy with almost 40 home runs from the right side. So now you have Seiya and Suarez, big bats from the right side. And just know that if you get to the postseason, when you get to the postseason, these teams are all going to have stud pitchers.
Yep.
And you got to stock the lineup as much as you can. I am encouraged by what I've seen from Matt Shaw. I like the future being Matt Shaw. But when we're specifically talking about this postseason run, would it make the Cubs better to have Gino Suarez at third base and Matt Shaw become your utility guy? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Because even at the end of the game, if you get a home run from Suarez, you can still put Matt Shaw at third base and get his defense and still not feel like you're 100% sacrificing the offense. I saw Black Mamba in the live YouTube chat here suggest, Black Mamba Chronicle says, do we trade for Suarez just so the Brewers don't get him? I'm not that afraid of the Brewers. I'm not. No. It would be a big improvement to that Brewers lineup. There's no question.
Yeah,
right now, the Cubs lineup is definitely better than the Brewers. The Brewers have better starting pitching. So the Cubs have their advantage in the hitting. So why not even double down on that? I'm not against it. It's just what the cost is going to be. And as much as I want Suarez and I want to upgrade that lineup, what we will talk about later is I still think number one priority is going heavy on a legit starter. But something needs to be true, too, about Matt Shaw that some people aren't mentioning, and I think I may have seen it in the chat earlier a little bit, touching on, is that trades right now also have to be looking ahead, thinking ahead. What if this happens? What am I going to do? You can't foolproof your lineup and your team completely. You're not going to make it perfect. But heaven forbid, for instance, who's playing center field if PCA were to get hurt, right?
Yep.
We've already seen that sort of play out over one game, and I don't love this. I don't love this solution. I don't love Vidal Brujan in center field, okay? Same thing can be said at third base. Even if you want to be all in and fully believe in Shaw and say, you know what? Shaw is about to do what PCA did at the end of last year. Skyrocket up, and it's good from there, right? Like, even if you believe that's what's happening in this 9-game stretch, who is your backup plan at third base if he tweak something.
You saw it on Friday.
Knock on wood.
You saw it. You saw the backup plan on Friday.
Yeah, we saw Bruhan, and it was horrific.
It was horrific.
Okay? He cannot be your backup. So even if you're not getting Gino Suarez at third base, you still would need to acquire, in my eyes, another third baseman, because the answer for me can't be John Birdie either.
No, and Justin Turner doesn't want to play. He's your backup first baseman right now, and you can throw him in a pinch in third base, but that's not what you want. You're exactly right.
Acquiring Suarez improves third base in the power numbers, and it lengthens your lineup, and it also improves your bench greatly, because an improved Matt Shaw now can be your backup at third base or your defensive replacement at third base, and your defensive replacement or backup plan if you have to switch something crazy for Nico or wherever.
Right.
Shaw can be there. So
we're on the same page when it comes to that. Because
I still want Suarez, but I'm not as hell-bent on it as I was 2 weeks ago. But I still think it's the right move. I'm still willing to part with prospects.
And I still need to see more from Matt Shaw. He's been very good.
Yes. Loved
but
what he's done
remember,
lately.
when he came back up in that Marlins series, he hit great, and then it kind of fell off after about 10 days. So sustained success is important. Having the amount of at-bats, seeing a variety. Because, again, let's keep in mind, these 9 games, he's played the Royals and the White Sox. Yes, the Royals threw a couple good pitchers at you, but it's not what you're going to see in the postseason. What you saw today and what you saw in this weekend set against the White Sox is not what you're going to see in the postseason. You're going to see much better pitching. And that to me, I need Shaw to show me that he is capable of hitting those guys. And I don't know if he's there yet. That's just where I'm at. Why would you not want to upgrade a position if you can? That's smart baseball management.
He's maybe lowered the emergency panic button a little bit.
He's taken the anxiety down.
The anxiety's gone down a little bit, but you can't fully go in. Mike Nell says in the chat, might be recency bias, but I think Mike Tauchman would make a nice fourth outfielder. The Sox guys have told us, and we saw today he was DH, right? That his legs cannot allow him to play center field or backup outfield. He can play some right field, but in reality, you want him as a DH. If I were acquiring Mike Tauchman back, and I have nothing against the Palatine Pounder, even though he struck out 3 times today because he hit 2 home runs in the series, to me, he's just a bench bat.
He's a good at bat. There's things about Mike Tauchman that you enjoy, right? The versatility of being able to play center field was one of his best strengths. And if his legs aren't there, which we saw him kind of pulling up into third base, on a double today, there's some things about his overall health that I don't know if it makes a ton of sense. But I'll tell you what does make sense for that. Mike Tauchman immediately becomes your best bench bat because, one,
you don't
the
have
guy
one.
Hart. I know he struck out 3 times today. I doubt he's. I would bet if I looked at his numbers right now, I bet that's the first time he struck out 3 times all year. The guy doesn't strike out. He's always a good at bat. He's always working full counts. Even when he doesn't start. Remember last year when Bellinger and PCA were playing center field and Tauchman was kind of getting rotated in and out, and they put him lower in the lineup. They had him bat leadoff a couple times. Like, even when he was coming off the bench, he was giving you excellent at bats. So that is something that's attractive.
Sure.
But if he can't play center field, I think the Cubs can still find somebody who can at a higher level, and I think they will, and I think they have to. I don't know if it'll be Tauchman. I would doubt it at this moment in time, though.
The Westland Eagle is talking about how great his OPS is.
Yeah.
Again, he is a bench bat because physically he can't play the outfield very much. He definitely can't play center field where we have no backup. Seiya can always play right field if something happens to Tucker, knock on wood, right? Or left field if something happens to Happ. But ideally, with the way his legs are right now, because of the injury this season, Tauchman's not playing outfield. He's a DH or he's a pinch hitter. A really good one. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm all for it. And somebody asked if he was maybe a bad clubhouse fit. No. He wasn't here this year because of that was a place they decided to save some money, and they thought maybe Owen Casey would be ready to come up eventually and push his way onto the field, or somebody would. It hadn't happened early in the season, And the outfield's been great. They haven't had, knock on wood, the injuries they were afraid of.
The Cubs have had arguably the best outfield in all of baseball this year. They started 2 guys in the All-Star game. There just wasn't space for Tauchman to play a lot, and they knew PCA was going to take the reins, and so, right.
All right, more trade talk. We're also going to talk about Ben Brown in just a second, but first, a word from our sponsors. Looking to buy, sell, trade, or open a pack of cards? Arena Club is changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs and no-fee auctions. You got to check out these slab packs. You can rip a pack for as low as $25, hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Every pack has grails that are at least 20 times the price of the pack. Arena Club's the most trusted name in the game, and if you're heading to the 45th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention Center in Rosemont, and of course, why wouldn't you? Be sure to stop by the Arena Club booth. It's all happening July 30th through August 3rd, right at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. They'll have special promotions for you. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO. Make sure you use that code CHGO slab pack.
And if you want to go to a game, there's no better way to get tickets than using our friends over at Game Time. It's the best way to get tickets. It's the cheapest way to get tickets. You get $20 off. Use the promo code CHGO for your first order. I was there on Friday. Sat right behind home plate, got my tickets on Game Time. Had a great time with my cousin. Didn't have a great time at the game because they lost, but Game Time makes getting tickets easier and faster than any other site. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Killer last-minute deals, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Use the app features, listen and customize your spot, and the supplemental as inspiration. What app features pleasantly surprised you? Well, I'll tell you. You get to view the view from your seat is great when you're at Wrigley Field and you're not sitting behind one of the barriers. It's great. And they also lower the prices as you get closer to the game. Customize your spot. Any key features? Well, I'll tell you, last-minute deals, saving up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for Cubs games. It's a pretty good way to spend money. Save even more when you choose sections and let Game Time choose the seats for you. Fees are included, so you know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code CHGO, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO, $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you, Game Time.
I can't confirm this because I haven't looked and we're doing a show. Chicago Dude 8888 says Casey, Alcantara, and Long were all scratched from the Iowa lineup. Should that be factual, that would probably mean something was going down.
All 3 guys were scratched.
Man, those are pretty.
I'll wait for Tommy
those are
Birch.
pretty. Those, if true, those would be pretty big names to be going somewhere.
You said that in the
Casey,
chat.
Alcantara, and which are probably the three of the biggest names down there.
Interesting.
Ben Brown today, by the way, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks. That was crucial. I got to tell you, my stomach dropped when I saw that Counsell was going with Ben Brown today against the White Sox because I feared losing 2 out of 3 before the Brewers series and losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals. And Brown has really struggled in his previous couple of starts to the point where I said, I think I've seen enough of Ben Brown starting this season. After that start, I wanted them to trade for another legit starter immediately because I didn't want another bullpen game. I didn't want another Ben Brown start, but they were able to squeeze the juice out of one more Ben Brown start and get past it. Now that it's done, great call, Craig Counsell. Great call. That doesn't mean I think Ben Brown should start another game. It doesn't mean I think Ben Brown is the answer necessarily in the bullpen. I'm not totally down on Ben Brown's career or anything. But, guys, his ERA was pushing 7 at the start of this game. I even asked during the watch-along after he gave up the home run to Benintendi's first home run, I said, is his ERA going to be over 7 by the end of this game, or is it going to be under 7? He ended up having a really nice game. I'm happy for him, and it led to us talking about some of the pitching possibilities on the market, right? But I also thought of another question, and I saved it for this because I didn't want to throw it just in the watch-along. Depending on who they were, let's say they acquire somebody, right? If you had to have a playoff game. Let's just throw out there that let's say Mackenzie Gore is acquired, right?
All right.
Well, now you know that your first 3 games of a series would be Mackenzie Gore, Matthew Boyd, and Shota Imanaga, assuming everybody's healthy. And you need a 4th starter in a series. Do you want Jameson Taillon, or do you want Horton, who was really good in Game 2 of this series against the White Sox? I have seen Horton start to, it's not a straight line going up, but I can see the future with Cade Horton. And I saw somebody tweet it on the broadcast last night, and it's what I was thinking. He does have that dog in him, man. I believe he competes. And he's not afraid of a big moment.
And he's calm on the mound.
That said,
he's so calm.
That said, Taillon at times this season had 10 straight quality starts. He's a veteran. He throws lots of pitches, and he eats innings. If he comes back healthy, do you want Taillon making that 4th start or Horton?
I would like, if Taillon's leg is healthy, if his calf and his leg is healthy, the answer is Taillon. Because
I agree.
I have a little bit more faith in him in being able to get out. He's proven it for longer, and there's just something about when the stakes get louder, you just want a guy who has seen it all. Taillon's been around a long time. He's faced a lot of these hitters. He knows the ins and outs of what he has to do to get through 5 innings, right, or 4 innings, because the playoff starts are going to be shortened. The leash is much shorter. So what I like about Taillon, and what I would like, even if the Cubs do go up and get Mackenzie Gore, Bubic, they're starting 3 lefties. The thing I like about Taillon, and what will really expand on me, is Counsell will be able to potentially use Taillon as an opener. He'll be able to maybe use Cade Horton as an opener, and then move into, to situationally get the matchup right. Like that's going to be another option he can use. But Cade Horton has had a wonderful month of July. If he has a wonderful month of August, we can revisit that question, because it's not far and away like Taillon hands down throwing the towel. But there's something about rookie pitchers in big moments, man. I know Cade has done a really good job of managing. It's the White Sox, but this is a perfect example. On Saturday, first inning, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Doesn't really go up there, doesn't start sweating, doesn't start, the body language is in control. He has a mound presence about him where he doesn't get too high or too low, and I think that's really important. But should this surface in a bigger game, we haven't seen him in that yet. If he shows me 2 more months of success where he's getting the swing and miss with the dominant fastball that we saw on Saturday, maybe I change my answer. But it's still Taillon for me at this moment in time, who I would want starting a 4th game of the series.
I love what I see for the future from Horton and Shaw. But I'm not ready to go there quite yet. For me, the perfect scenario isn't the opener. The perfect scenario is if you had to have a 4-game rotation, a healthy Taillon would be my number 4, and the first reliever to come in after him would be Horton, because I like Horton in the bullpen. And I think you can. I used to think Ben Brown was going to be my guy to boost the bullpen at the end of the season, and for the push, and for the playoffs. But now my playoff bullpen would include Horton, is the guy that I like there. I can still see a scenario where I have Horton starting a lot of games at the end of the season, even if they acquire somebody, and even if Taillon comes back. And he's supposed to pitch for Iowa, I believe, this week, right? I think Assad and Taillon are supposed to be throwing for Iowa, and I believe Amaya too. I think all 3 are supposed to be at Iowa, so that helps on the way. I just don't want to count too heavily on those guys bouncing back from injuries that have kept them out for a long period of time, at least not right away.
And they're going to be so careful.
Yeah.
They're going to be so careful because they've had so many injuries already, the pitching staff this year. You know that they're not going to rush Assad, who hasn't thrown in a game yet this year. They're going to ramp him up very lightly, very casually. It's not going to be like he's going to hit the ground running in 2 weeks when he comes back to the ball. It's just not. That's not going to happen. And if he has a bad start on Wednesday in Iowa, then that process gets delayed even longer. So you're right. You can't bank on both those guys coming back. and giving you outstanding outings. But you hope that one of them can, and you hope they both can. You can hopefully it's Tyone that comes back and can kind of, stop these bullpen games, and Assad can maybe take over the role of Chris Flexen, who I think is getting a little bit expendable at this moment in time. So, but hope is not a strategy, right?
No. At Flat Earth says Merrill Kelly number 4. Well, yeah, he'd be number 4 if
that would be.
But again, that would. I wonder if Merrill Kelly comes as a second starter. If he comes as your top upgrade as a starter, okay, then I hope they're also in on Suarez. Right? Okay, so there's so many different ways this can play out. And I saw Vanilla Chill say, yeah, those guys did not play for Iowa today. Frankly, I don't want any of those guys to play for Iowa this week. If you have top prospects that other teams are looking at, I don't need them playing this week. I don't need somebody spraining an ankle and throwing off a trade that could have changed your postseason future.
So all 3 of those guys did not play today. Were they?
I don't know.
Were they in the lineup originally? That's the question I'd have to.
I don't know.
Check and wait on Tommy Burch to say. But that tells you something is being discussed, though. You don't just take your 3
it's not all 3
hitters.
just getting a Sunday off. Now all right, we talked about 3 names. Long has had a good season. Casey's had a great season. He's blocked at the moment by Kyle Tucker. Might not be blocked by Kyle Tucker next year. We just don't know the answer to that. And Alcantara is the other outfielder. First of all, if you end up trading both Alcantara and Casey, you better be getting back somebody like Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah.
Right?
Guy with control. Guy with control.
Yeah, you better be getting Mackenzie Gore and Finnegan and yada, 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 in my opinion. But if it's all in one deal. And, boy, I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could go, right? Like, all right, let's go through some of the starters, because let's assume this big package is not for if it were those 3 guys. Pretend they're a package. Okay.
Let's talk Mackenzie Gore first, because I think that's the guy people want to hear about. I think that
that's the guy that's second on my list, though. If I have a dream list and we were trading away something as big as Casey, Long, and Alcantara, first of all, to me that means you better be ready to go all in on Kyle Tucker.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you kind of
because those are sort of your backup plans.
Nobody waiting in the wings at that point.
So, I'm worried about next year. But number 2, my number 1 wish for a Cubs pitcher is Ryan from the Twins. If I could pull any pitcher right now, I think before even Gore, I would say, man, if I'm really gonna mortgage some of the farm for a starter with control, Ryan is number 1. Mackenzie Gore is number 2. And I would trade Casey for either of those guys.
I would too. I think it's interesting because both the Nationals and the Twins right now have ownership discussions and things going on with both those ball clubs that can maybe complicate these offers. And we've heard the Twins maybe don't want to move on from Ryan because he's got the club control and he's been absolutely dominant for them this year. But you're right. He's the best pitcher available. He's better than Mackenzie Gore. And if they can go out and acquire a guy like that, I'm all for moving those guys. But you're right. It has to be Gore or Ryan. I don't think everyone wants to talk about Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller's getting traded, and the Pirates trying to say we only want Owen Casey. It's like, well, you're not going to get Owen Casey for Mitch Keller straight up. That's not going to happen. So the Cubs are not that desperate. They're desperate, but they're not going to make a foolish mistake like that for trading for a guy who's going to be a middle of the rotation guy. Now, Jed has said week after week, creative, creative, creative. He keeps using the word creative. Listen carefully to when he says that, because he hasn't used the word, creative all the time in past deadlines. This is a deadline where we need to get creative. So what does that mean? That means maybe going out and trading for a guy with control, a name that maybe we haven't heard a lot about. The Padres are trying to get quote unquote creative about Dylan Cease, and reports have said the Cubs have reached out on Dylan Cease. So maybe that's an option. That was a guy that we weren't considering before. But you're right. An elite swing and miss top end ace 1 would be awesome. Joe Ryan becomes your number 1. I think he's having a better year than Shota is, and depending on the matchups of the team you're playing, Boyd's been excellent too. Yeah,
he's right there.
But
he's
Joe
in the
Ryan,
Cy Young conversation.
Joe Ryan becomes your number 1, and I don't think Mackenzie Gore becomes your number 1, but I think he becomes your 2. So yeah, if that in terms of those 2, that's a different ballpark. That's a different realm we're playing in. So I'd be okay with parting with those guys. But really, for anybody else, you're going to have to get me multiple players if I'm going to part with Owen Casey. And I feel as though Jed says the same thing.
We're going to get to the electric comment from Vanilla Chill in a second, plus talk Brewers. But first, a word from our sponsors. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is firing off the fireworks with big savings all month. Come in today to shop their Freedom to Save sales event and drive home with $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models, or check out their selection of more than 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive. You know you'll get a great deal, and with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. No add-ons, no hidden fees. Go see for yourself our partner at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Don't miss out on their Freedom to Save sales event going on all month long. $10,000 off on MSRP for new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake and raychevrolet.com.
You know that moment when you leave your sunglasses at the beach, on the roof of your car, the gas station, you leave it at work, someone takes them. Well, that's happened to me before. I've left my sunglasses, lost them in Lake Michigan a couple of times, but I found Shady Rays. It changed the game. They're made for real life. Seriously, good-looking, polarized, durable, not stupidly expensive. And the wild part, if you lose them, break them, on day one, they're still going to send you a brand new pair, no guilt, no question to ask, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on a boat, wherever. Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. You're going to want to listen to this. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO. 35% off polarized sunglasses, Luke. 35% off. Try for yourself. The Shades rated as 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shady Rays, one of our favorite partners here at CHGO.
Near in the live YouTube chat says, Casey, Mo Baller, Rojas, and Wiggins are the 4 guys that Jed wants to hang on to. Before the break, Vanilla Chill put out a hypothetical, because we've had the talk that a couple guys didn't play at Iowa today, getting our spidey senses up, getting a little tingly over here. Vanilla Chill says Casey and Long in a Gore deal, Alcantara in the Suarez deal with Kelly or Gallen maybe. So you're telling me that we could have Mackenzie Gore and Merrill Kelly or Zach Gallen in the Cubs rotation by tomorrow in this suggested deal, and Gino Suarez and his 38 home runs added to our lineup.
It's not crazy to think about.
Let me tell you right now, Vanilla Chill, the only way I can cool myself off right now from the excitement you've just shoved into my veins is to have an Oreo cupcake. That's the only way I can calm down right now, because what you've told me is so exciting that I don't know what to do with myself. Suarez, Gore, and Kelly or Gallen? I'm here for that party.
Over under 3.5 trades, Chad. I want to see this in the chat. I want to hear from you guys. Do you think the Cubs make more than 3.5 trades before the deadline?
Vanilla Chill, cool me off.
I think it's going to be 3 or 4, and it depends if they get that 2-for-1 from the Pirates or the Diamondbacks in a trade with Suarez. So, listen, it's something that we have to consider, right? All we've heard is Jed's going to be aggressive. He's going to be creative. He's going to be aggressive. The Cubs realize what they have. So I would assume that we will have at least 3 trades in the next couple days here. I think that's coming. I don't know who's going to get traded. I don't know the magnitude. I hope that there's a big trade, obviously. I hope there's a Mackenzie Gore level guy on our team. But, this is the exciting time. It is so fun. Let's just sit back for a moment and sit here and be like, wow, it's been a long couple of years of trying to decide, are the Cubs buyers, are they sellers? Are they going to, they're going to do a little bit of both? No, this is an elite baseball team, man. It's fun. Let's relish the fact that they are going to go out and make some cool trades here in the next couple of days, and that's exciting. It's cool to think about, because it's been so many years since we've really covered a team that has wanted to be all in. We've heard the term all in a lot. Now
that would be what Vanilla Chill's talking about, and
that'd be all in.
I think it might be a dream, but that would be so far all in that I agree with Niren.
But
would be real World Series contenders. And by the way, the Brewers would be squashed like a little grape on the side of the road. They'd be done.
The thing about getting Mackenzie Gore is, yes, obviously Owen Casey's going to go in that deal. Obviously. He would be the first person asked for. He's going in that deal. But if you're trading a young, controllable arm like Mackenzie Gore, you're going to want pitching in return. That's where you're going to have to look at maybe trading Ben Brown and maybe Jackson Wiggins. Because I think
Sure, but he did, in his hypothetical, I'm hanging on to Jackson Wiggins.
Just
and instead,
Casey and Long.
And instead, I'm giving them
two bats.
Alcantara. I'm giving them my two big outfield prospects.
I mean, hey,
That would be creative.
That would be
And
a
you'd
creative
hang on
thing.
to Rojas, which a lot of people love.
I think in any Mackenzie Gore deal, I think you're going to have to give up some starting pitching. But you know what? It's fun. It's fun to think about these things. It's fun to fantasize about what could be in a couple days. And fantasize might be too strong of a word. We know they're going to get better. We know they're going to make trades here. So,
Oh, yeah, I'd still like to add Willie Castro for that outfield depth.
over under 3.5 trades.
I'm thinking it's going to be right at 3, so I'll say under.
Okay, I'm going to say over. I'm going to say 4. I think a lot of moves are.
I'd
I think
like-
a bullpen
I'd like
arm,
3
starters.
Big trades. And then I'd be okay. Yeah, we may talk a little bullpen tomorrow because I still – let me give you my ranking right now.
Sure.
Forget the bullpen for right now.
Yeah.
We'll talk bullpen tomorrow. I said Joe Ryan. Hey, if you get Mackenzie Gore, I'm not crying. Believe me.
Those are 1A, 1B. Yeah.
Yeah, and they might be 1A, 1A, frankly. Like, you know?
That's true. Yes.
I just thought right-hander, strikeouts, all that stuff. Like, cool. Ryan. Ryan, Gore, and Bubic, who's on the injured list right now, would be the 3 guys that I'm willing to part with my top prospect in Casey.
Okay.
For sure.
Yes.
If any of those 3 are available and they want Casey, I say okay. Then the next set of pitchers after that, not necessarily in this order, but maybe in this order, Cease, Cabrera, Keller, Alcantara, Hauser.
Okay.
And I guess ahead of Hauser would be guys like Kelly and Gallen. Probably Kelly ahead of Gallen this season. I never would have said that last year, but I may say that right now. But that's a list of pitchers that you've just thrown into the mix. I don't think all these guys are available, and I don't know that the Cubs are even all in on these Cubs. Right now I'd go, how do you think I'm doing there? Ryan, Gore, Bubic, Tier 1. Tier 2, Cease, Cabrera,
Keller.
Tier 3, Kelly, Gallen, Alcantara, Hauser.
I would probably put Hauser on Tier 4.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he's in his own tier. But your first tier is absolutely right. I like those 3 because, and it's not just because of the stuff they have and the success they've had in the game. That obviously plays a role, but it's the control. It's the extra year.
Yeah.
It's bridging the gap to next year and extending your window, getting creative. That's why I put those 3 above others. Now, I know Keller, who has played very well against the Cubs and has very good stuff, is on a lower tier. Well, why is that? Well, he's not nearly the pitcher that those guys are. He doesn't have the upside. He's a few years older than Mackenzie Gore. He's like, I believe him and Ryan are probably around the same age. But the stuff is not the same. And if you watch it, you don't have to be a StatCast expert to watch Joe Ryan and, Kelly pitch or Mitch Keller, excuse me. You don't have to be a baseball savant addict to look at those 2 side by side and say, who's the better pitcher? You know from the eye test who's the better pitcher. So I like your first tier. Your second tier, Dylan Cease leads it off. I like that because I said this on the watch along. I'll say it again. This might not be Cease's best year. He's not having the year he had last year or the year before. But guess what, man? Give me any starting pitcher in the Cubs pitching infrastructure over any other organization because they will find a way to make him great. They do that with everybody. The Cubs, give me the Cubs pitching infrastructure over the Padres infrastructure. Give it to me over almost any other organization in the sport. The
Maybe
Cubs
not the Brewers. They seem to
do it pretty well.
They seem to have a pretty good idea.
But the Cubs find pitchers and are able to make them good because they're able to identify and switch pitches, and Tommy Hotovy just somehow has this way about him that makes everybody more comfortable. I think Cease in a Cubs uniform, and after a couple weeks in the system, can get back to the level of where he was. So I like Cease there a lot. I want probably one or probably two of those guys that you mentioned in those top four. That would be great. I would like two of them, but that might be getting a little greedy.
Again, what Vanilla Chill put in the chat and some of these other people talking about getting Gore and Suarez and Kelly, and I almost need the reality spray just to cool myself off right now. So I went with the cupcake as the alternative. All right, here we are. July 28th tomorrow, tied for first place with the Brewers, who just barely avoided being swept at home by the Marlins. Maybe you're catching them at the right time. We'll find out. Maybe they're going to finally start to cool off.
They're struggling offensively.
But here we go. The Cubs were able to save, by pitching Ben Brown today, they were able to save a Boyd start tomorrow. You get Boyd versus Miz. What a showdown that's going to be. Then Ray versus Priester, the underappreciated starters, going head-to-head. And then Shota versus Peralta. Now, again, if I require Mackenzie Gore before the night's over, I can take Ray out and have Mackenzie Gore against Priester. And then I go Boyd, Mackenzie Gore, and Shota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it. By the way, we should mention that with the trade deadline coming up on Thursday, we don't always do a Thursday show, but we will do a trade deadline show leading right up to that on Thursday. And if there is breaking news between now and the trade deadline, which we fully expect, we will be breaking in with a podcast, emergency podcast.
We always have our Cubs-related show on Thursday, but we might end up, if there is an emergency pod that day, we could have two shows that day.
Yep.
Or if it's during the Corey Brendan Cubs-related show, you guys could probably call in, and they always go overtime, so we could turn it into out every single time.
They go overtime?
Every single time.
Brendan, it's the maps and the heat maps.
Last Thursday we did an hour 25, I think.
Hour 25? Well, see, once a week, they got to make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a minor trade to report, not for the Cubs. The Braves got Eric Fetty in cash from the Cardinals. Remember, the Cardinals DFA'd Fetty a couple weeks ago. So
are the Braves going to be one of those teams that goes in and out, one toe in, one toe out? It sounds like, that's more of a move for desperate move.
Yeah, that sounds like they just, they've been so banged up in the starting pitching department. They're just, they're playing the waiver wire there. That's kind of a nothing.
Man, Chris Sale would have been my number one.
The one thing I want to talk about before we get out of here, though, Jacob Mizorowski, we're going to see him for the first time tomorrow. You've obviously heard all about him. Electric fastball. Will not throw a pitch under 100 miles an hour. His slider is 95, 96. So he does throw under 100 miles an hour with that pitch. But the four-seam will consistently sit at 101, 102. The Brewers pulled him out after 4 innings a week ago, kept him on kind of a pitch count.
Yeah.
So
or were they saving him for the Cubs?
Would expect to see a little more of the same because they can't afford to blow his arm out. So, but tomorrow's going to be fun, man. It's going to be one of those games that if you can beat the Brewers, if you can beat the highly talked about
hottest team in
Jacob
baseball,
Mizorowski, and the team that keeps winning games, if you can win game 1 tomorrow, that has me feeling really, really good about the rest of the games you've got to play against the Brewers, because if you can show them that you can beat their best, and Mizorowski is their best, he's got better stuff than Freddie Peralta. If you can beat their best and take a 1-game lead in the division, that means more than just hopping ahead. That really will that's a punch to the gut. So I really want to see the Cubs be super aggressive tomorrow and try to win that game, because that will set them apart for the rest of the series.
I see in the chat we've asked everybody, hey, are you nervous?
A little bit.
For the Brewers series? No, I'm not nervous. I'm excited. I've been waiting
I'm nervous.
For 4 years for us to care about a series like this. Finally, we have something that's interesting leading up to the trade deadline and beyond. And here we go. We'll have a big show for you tomorrow. If you are going to the game, one piece of advice before I let you go, and it's critical. Do not ride the escalator.
Please be careful.
Thank you. And we appreciate you watching the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. We had a great time. Cubs take 5 out of 6 against the White Sox this season. We drink later tonight from the Richard M. Daley chalice of the Crosstown Cup. The Cubs have retained the mighty cup, and now they go on to take on the Brewers up north. We'll be here for the postgame show and maybe breaking news if it happens. Until then, thanks for watching Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.